G'day everyone, back here for another episode of Wine Back Wednesday. Stripping back in time a little bit, going back to the first vintage of the Magic Dirt releases. It took me a number of years, actually up to 5 years actually, before I made a decision that I'd found and seen the significant differences between the blocks in the Barossa and Eden Valley that I'd made a decision to start releasing them. They are single vineyard, single barrel wines, so they're very, very limited quantities. This one is 2009, which was their first release. So I first took this vineyard in about 2006. So we had in Greenock. We had took Greenock, Stonewell in 2005, Moppa and Eden Valley in 2006. So Greenock and Stonewell we saw 5 vintages, or 5th vintage, and then 4 vintages of this. So still under cork. We changed in 2013. The 2012 vintage was still under cork, and yeah, so the Moppa was actually on a little vineyard on Mount Moppa on the eastern side. So went into shade probably about 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. So I didn't really experience a huge amount of heat that I often get in the Barossa, and quite shallow soil, sort of red-brown clay loam, lots of mottled with a lot of ironstone and quartz pieces in there. Very reasonably well drained, very low yielding, but really beautiful wine. Unfortunately, we don't take this vineyard anymore. The grower who has it, they utilise all the fruit for themselves now. So you can't begrudge them for that. I mean, if their business is going well, good luck. So but change is good as a holiday, they say. So the idea behind the Magic Dirts here is, if you don't know, is that there's the same clone. We're trying to minimise variation, so same clone, same trellis structure, same orientation. The soil is pretty good. But that cork is in absolutely cracker condition. It's quite interesting. I'll talk about that a bit later. But without further ado, pour it in. Colour looking really good. There's sort of a lovely, still brick red, quite dark. It has obviously got some secondary notes in there. There is some tiny background of leather, but there's a lot of still red fruits and spice lifting in the fore. And the idea is, once the barrel gets selected, I do a classification. So I'll go back a step. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Wine is vintaged, goes to barrel, gets classified a few months later. Those barrels that earmarked for this, they get pulled aside. I taste them all again. I then narrow that classification down, and then if the wine really showcases the site it is from that particular vintage, then I'll take out the best barrel, and then it will become a Magic Dirt candidate. And then they get go to all the same 2-year-old French oak for an extra time, for another up until a total time of 2 and a bit years. So all the barrels are selected, same oak, minimised against variation, and then they get bottled and then sit in the bottle for a minimum of 12 months. That's a minimum of 2 years before we release it. So this one was released in 2013. Lovely acidity, even though it's from the Barossa on that slight elevation and that eastern facing, it did retain its acidity well. The wines are fresh, 14.5% alcohol. So not a 09 was we had quite a hot January and early February. I remember Valentine's Day was stinking hot, if I remember rightly. But we got through. Yields weren't huge, but we got through. Quality is excellent. Wow, I reckon that'll open up still as the time goes on. So might take it home for dinner. I don't know what I got for dinner. Maybe try and find a steak or something. Who knows? But I'll enjoy giving it a crack. So, cheers.